I'd like to start off by introducing past chief, my dad, Bill Ferrati. Dad, if you can come on up here. Past chief, Bob Collins. Past chief, Gene Collins. Past chief, Jim Elliott. Past chief, Vincent Wheeler. Past chief, Dave Gonska. And I will introduce our current chief in a minute. Being a member of the organization, I think since my dad first took over, this is a very humbling experience for me to be up here, and this is something that these ladies and gentlemen up here can attest to. Is only about, well, we're celebrating our 51st year, so 51 years in the making. So we're happy to have everybody. We're happy to have so many people here. Our EMS coordinator, Paul Verboef. Thompson Savings Bank President, Stephen Lewis. Our building committee members, which our chief will introduce, and some dignitaries, which we'll introduce in a minute. So without further ado, I want to introduce our current chief, Jason Emery.
Going after the head because everything's so tall. All right, how's everybody doing today? Good. Stay close. I brought the weather back from Florida. Just if everybody's wondering why it's so gorgeous today. I was on vacation last week. We gotta talk right up. And that's all you can get out of it. Who's the IT guy? There's chairs here if we want to fill in some of those. If people don't want to stand. We're good? Excellent. As Kevin mentioned, this month is a couple of big milestones for the ambulance. Number one, it's our 51st anniversary. And number two, it's the culmination of over 2 decades worth of work to try to get this building built. So it's a big day for everybody that's part of the organization. I always kidded around with some of our newer members that were frustrated with the amount of time it took. For those of us who've been around 20 plus years, this last time around seemed to go by pretty quick with the work involved. The importance of the building can't be overstated. Over the last 20 years, the organization has grown. We've gone from a single ambulance to 2 ambulances. Our focus within the community has increased. Our call volume has gone up almost 76% over the last 6 years. We've also expanded our public education programs, our CPR, our babysitting, our first aid classes, all of which this building will help support. The other major factor with this building is that it's going to be the town's emergency operations center. As we're all aware, the last few years have been trying during the winter months and a couple of hurricanes, where operating out of town hall was somewhat difficult because basically it was using it as an EOC was an afterthought. What's going to this building is being designed from the ground up, where we'll have access to all the modern technology we need to run a town-wide emergency. As far as the folks that are here today, there's a few we want to just give out our general thanks to. A lot of the community organizations, such as the Lions Club, the Women's Club, both the fire departments, Thompson Savings Bank, have all been very helpful to us over the years in supporting our mission. Yeah, and the Rock Callaghan Foundation as well. One of the big factors that the Thompson Savings Bank has helped us out with is the deployment of automatic defibrillators throughout town to our first responders and in key locations. Quite frankly, they've made the town a safer place as a whole, and we appreciate their efforts with that. And as far as the building goes, just a few more thank yous. First, I want to thank our previous selectman, Frank Charmante, for recognizing the need for this project and getting behind it early on and getting the funding, or part of the funding for us. And secondly, I want to thank Mike Chris for actively pursuing it when he came into office and putting his support behind it and basically getting it to where it is now, ready to stick a shovel in it. I also want to thank DECD and our representatives from the state who have exhibited an inordinate amount of patience through this process in keeping the funds available to us while we got through all the little hurdles that came up in the process. And two big things, the building committee, and I'll call them out, please come forward. John Fretzel, Brian Dunbar, and Bob Collins are the reps that we have here today. These gentlemen have put a lot of time in the last 4 years or so to create the structure that we're looking to build. There's a copy of a set of plans inside for anybody that wants to get some additional information on it. I want to thank the PAC group for helping us through the last few phases of this project and all the assistance they provided. And most importantly, I want to thank the residents of the town of Harwinton who came out not once but twice to show their support for our mission and for this project. So with that, I'll turn it over to Kevin and we'll have our next speaker.
Thanks, Chief. Again, this project does not go like anything in town, does not go off with a little bit of politics. So to come up and with our appreciation and first welcome our speaker, our guest that he brought with him, his first selectman, Mike Chris.
I'm even shorter than the rest of them, so this is really sad. Can you see me above the podium for once? I don't know. Thank you all for coming out today, and thank you, Kevin, for the introduction. And as Kevin and Jason both articulated very well, the project did not go off without a hitch, unfortunately. There was a lot of work to be done, and I'm happy to say that the town pulled together when we needed to, and we got the hard work done. We worked very diligently with DCD. I want to thank Michael Rybeck as well, our town attorney, who spent numerous hours with himself and his assistants in working through all the paperwork and the contract negotiations and the insurance and everything else that was thrown in our path. And we managed to pull together, as we always do as a town, together as residents to overcome every obstacle that was thrown in our path. And I want to thank the ambulance volunteers and Jason Emery for all his hard work and your patience through the process. I know it gets scary as the administration's changed, and Jason was the first one in my office the day after I got elected saying, we're still doing this, right? And well, we are, and we're here today to celebrate that and celebrate all their hard work and patience. And I'd like to give them a big round of applause for them sticking through with the project and getting out there and working hard in the community every single day to keep us safe. With that said, I'll turn it back over to Kevin so he can continue. Thank you.
Just a little higher. Just a little higher. Before we introduce our next speaker, too, looking around the crowd, I also want to point out the ambulance is just one organization in this town and in this surrounding community that keeps everybody safe. So I do want to point out representatives from our sister station right next door, members led by Chief John Fretzel and the members of the Harwinton Fire Department. Chief Scott Kellogg and his members from the Harwinton West Side Fire Department. Chief Andy Mercer and his guests from the Burlington Fire Department. And standing there, and I always love introducing this man because he has known me far greater than when I was back down to here. And that's our Director of Operations for Camping Ambulance, Mr. Fred Rosa. Standing next to him is a man of equal talents, if not greater sometimes, and to have to deal with what he deals with 25 miles east of here is a tremendous challenge. So I do want to introduce, welcome if he can say some words, our State Representative, John Piscopo.
Kevin. I just want to thank everybody, the townspeople, for getting behind this, the emergency medical services. This has been great. The selectmen and you know, just for procuring this land, we call it, typically with the state, we always deal with acronyms. It's the STEEP grant, Small Town Economic Assistance Program, and we managed to get a STEEP grant for this property. I want to thank Mike Chris for persisting on trying to get another STEEP grant, and our senator and I will be working toward that. I feel positive on that to continue with this building project. So I want to thank Mike Chris for his persistence, his numerous emails to me and calls to keep this project alive. So I want to just thank everybody. It's a team effort here, and it's just so good to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. And last but not least, even though everybody to my left has had an equal part in getting this organization to where it is, we did have one individual that we wanted to bring up and say a couple words, because he really was the one that started about 20 plus years ago in really pushing to get building together, and that's why he's on the building committee with us and a true asset to our organization, and that's past Chief Bob Collins.
Thanks, Kevin. This is a day that will be remembered for many, many years. Change is always a part of social structure. It's always a part of society. The change when this ambulance started with one vehicle done by the Lions Club, volunteers, has changed over the years to an extent that we would not have believed. The medical advances have been a large part of how they can operate in today's world, rather than just throwing them in the back and trying to take care of them as a first aid course. Today, the medical equipment that this ambulance has and the knowledge that its volunteers have is exceptional. And I think we can be very proud of this organization as a community, and I congratulate Harwinton EMS. You have quality leadership, great vehicles, and now you've added a facility that lends itself to all these emergency operations. And thank you very much for supporting this ambulance, and I know you will in the future. And thanks to all, Mike, Frank, John, everybody. Thank you very much.
Just for some historical perspective, about 24 years ago when I first joined, Bob showed me a set of plans for the design of the building they were working at the time. So as Kevin mentioned, this is an important day for him because he's been hoping for this for about 24, 25 years now. Yep. The other thank you I want to throw out there is for Kevin Ferrati and Vincent Wheeler, who put this all together last week. Well, I ran away on vacation and said it's all yours. So they did a great job. We got food and refreshments in the ambulance bay once we're done with the shovel ceremony. So please come over and join us and mingle a bit.
Okay, without further ado, what I would like to do is ask if Mr. Paul Preveno, CEO of PAC Group, come up, and Mr. Stephen Lewis, President of Thompson Savings Bank, come up with us here, and with the building committee members and Chief Emery to perform the shovel ceremony. Perfect. There you go.
I'm watching you.
I am
Almost made it.
Nice try, John.
Oh.
All right, gentlemen, if you wouldn't mind coming up. All right.
Yeah, exactly. Throw forward, right, guys?
Okay, on three.
1, 2, 3.
We promise the open house to the building will be much more dramatic and much more pronounced as that was. So. But thank you so much for coming again. We want to thank everyone from coming, all of our representatives from our area departments and our sister departments, Representative Piscopo, First Selectman, Mr. Lewis, and everyone on the building committee. So thank you very much. We do invite everyone to come into the ambulance bay, enjoy some light lunch and refreshments. Thank you very much. Well, yours is when you...
Wait, Paul, come back.